Well, I want to thank Dr. Ford to start with for allowing me the opportunity to come out here and talk with you all today. My name is Jim Anderson. I'm the Vice President of Safety of Florida Rock and Tank Lines. A little bit about our company. We've been around since the early 1960s, and we started in the dump truck type hauling business, hauling sand and rock from mines and quarries to ready-mix concrete plants. And then over the years, we got into fuel hauling and also some chemicals. And long story short, over the years, that has transitioned where we are no longer operating dump truck units. In fact, I was telling Dr. Ford, Mr. Brown earlier that I worked down here for 5 years. We had a terminal off the Noyce Farms Road off of Southern in West Palm, hauling the sugar from all the different mills back to the port of Palm Beach. We did that for 5 years. That was on a contract deal, and it came to an end. And but we have done a lot of different things through the years. And today we're about 85% petroleum. That's our main commodity we haul. We're give or take about 370 drivers in our fleet. We have most of our terminals in Florida and Georgia, but we also have a terminal in Montgomery, Alabama, and that's and up in Tennessee we have Knoxville and Chattanooga. But the bulk of our drivers and operations are in Florida and Georgia. But we do the dry bulk pneumatic work, which is hauling things like cement, specialty sands, and some other dry commodities. The chemical business is hauling industrial chemicals, sulfuric acid and caustic soda, those type of things into industrial situations. But the piece of business that I'm here to talk to you about today is a piece of business that we started about a year ago here in Palm Beach County, hauling water. In fact, the water that's in this bottle, that's Kirkland, that's Costco, may have been water that we haul. It comes out of a spring head out west of Okeechobee on State Road 70 near Lake Placid. And that's where it slows from, and it comes back to the Niagara Bottling plant there across from Pratt Whitney in the Palm Beach Commerce Center. And our drivers go back and forth. And so it's a local haul. And that's something that is, I think, a little bit unique about the opportunity that, how you doing, come on in. The opportunity that we have versus opportunities that are available to you all from other sectors of trucking. Because a lot of entry-level jobs into the truck driving profession require over-the-road work or what I call regional, multi-state work. But our job allows you to be home with your family at the end of every shift. So that's something that that we offer, and that's true really for all of our things, all the types of commodities I told you that we do. Our drivers are home. Gas haulers are home. Chemical drivers, they're home, and that's something that I really like about our business. We get to work closely with our drivers personally. They're not out and about running from LA to New York or whatever their over the road responsibilities are. How you doing? Okay, good. I also want to thank each and every one of you for choosing the trucking industry, choosing to become professional drivers. I applaud you for that. And you have come into a really good industry that's got a lot of great jobs, a lot of long-term opportunities for you and your family. I've been with Florida Rock for July will be 42 years. I started when I was in high school, and my first job was washing trucks. So that's where I got my start. I had a chauffeur's license back in the day, got my CDL, kind of gave it up a few years ago. I never did actually drive. I learned how to drive. I learned how to back the truck really good, backing up on that wash pad every day, multiple times a day. So you all can relate to that, out here on driving on your skills course, doing your backing. But the industry has been very good to me and my family. The company, Florida Rock and Tank, it's the only company I've ever worked for. And think about that in today's world. How many companies have been around providing those types of long-term career opportunities? Not many anymore. So the stability of our company, the stability of the commodities that we haul, and the overall local work. I'm gonna talk about our benefits here in a minute. You know, I think we have a lot to offer drivers coming into the industry, and that's why the majority of drivers we hire are not coming from a program like this. They're coming from other trucking jobs that they've been at. And the reason they're choosing to come to work for us is all things I've been telling you about. Here recently, some of you may have heard me mention about being in California. The reason I was out there, our national association called National Tank Truck Carriers had its annual conference. And part of that time out there, they have an annual Driver of the Year competition. And we had entered one of our drivers in that. He was selected as one of the 8 champion finalists. This is a national association, so there's fleets from all over the United States that are member companies that submit their drivers for consideration. And the judging panel selects 8 to move into the next level of competition. And so he was honored with that championship or champion driver status. And so this video that I'm going to show you is a video that we produced as part of that submission into that contest. But I wanted to show it to you because I think it speaks to who we are as a company and what we do out there every day in our business. So I'll let you guys watch this. It runs about 4 minutes or so. Dr. Ford, how do we start that?
Okay, let's see. You want to work it?
Hello, I'm Robert Anderson from Knoxville, Tennessee, and I'm a professional tank truck driver for Florida Rock and Tank. After 34 years of safe driving, accident-free, I've learned a lot of things along the way, and number one is to stay focused. Don't let anything distract you, such as the radio or reaching across the seat to get something. I start each day out with a pre-trip inspection of my equipment, truck and trailer, making sure it's safe. If the truck's not safe, you shouldn't drive that truck. You want to make it home each night at the end of your shift, and you want people around you to be safe always. Another thing I want to talk about is having a good image, keeping a nice clean truck, everything tied down good. Someone sees you driving, they think, well, that's a professional driver, look how well he's driving. As we're unloading, when we get to our customer's location, I try to always maintain a professional look about me and do everything I do in a professional way. And the people that come to this location to fill up their cars, they're watching you as well. And from time to time, I have people come up and thank me for what I'm doing. And especially in times of inclement weather, when fuel shortages was high, I feel like what I do each day, delivering petroleum products, it's essential to people's lives. I see people from time to time come in, filling up their cars, and sometimes it might be a mother with 2 kids or 3 kids, taking them to school, daycare, or the doctor, or whatever. They need that gasoline for the cars. I see big trucks come in, pulling heavy equipment that's needing diesel fuel. myself, well, I'm helping them, because I'm providing, essential product that they need. Gasoline, diesel, jet fuel, dry bulk, cement, food grade product, and all these things are important. In fact, just recently, during the Colonial Pipeline shutdown that happened last year, people was coming to get fuel and couldn't get it. We was going to different places that we normally don't go to try to get fuel. So we could provide this product to people that need fuel in their area. And that kind of, gave me a warm feeling knowing I was helping provide that. We get out in all kinds of weather, inclement weather, sometimes heavy rain, snow, and we still have to get out there and try to get the product to our customers so they can survive. And it's tough, but I enjoy it and I feel good about it. And even though it's hard work, but I still feel good about it. I would love for you to consider me to be the professional tank truck driver of the year. I was over the 34 plus years I've been driving professionally. I've given a lot to the industry, and now I feel like I can give back by helping others. Giving back to the community is a way to show what you've learned, and you're helping others that's coming along behind you. And I enjoy my job. I make a good living at it, and I can help others. I'm there to help do that. And thank you for your time.
So it was quite an honor to be out there with Robert, representing our company. As you heard him say, 34 years of safe driving. He has over 3 million safe driving miles. No accidents. Preventable, not preventable, nothing. That doesn't happen by chance. It happens because he applies his skills that he's learned to be safe out there every day, driving defensively. You know, the things he touched on, you know, what we do is very important. And being part of that in this industry, everything moves by truck. So, but I thought, you know, that really says something about our company and you know, you can be this guy. You can be Robert, and you know, you can achieve 34, 35, as many years as you want in this industry, because what you're gonna do is gonna be needed. Think about it. Things going to move so far by rail or by air or by ship. At some point, it's got to get on a truck. So you know, you can set that goal to be, you know, a career professional driver and have the opportunities that come with that. I'd like to take you through this brochure. I've touched on some of this. I wanted to go over some other things that we haven't talked about yet. When you come to work for us, we will put you in a student driver program. And actually, it's a registered apprenticeship program. We were, late last year, we were approved by the Department of Labor to be an approved employer for registered apprenticeship. Now, what that means is a couple things. One, it means that our program, training program, and progressive opportunities that we provide for our drivers met the criteria of the Department of Labor. The other thing it means, is anybody a veteran? Okay, no? Okay, well, if you were a veteran, there's some additional benefits through the GI Bill that you can be eligible for because we're a registered apprenticeship employer. But the structure of our program for drivers coming out of a program such as this is that you would be assigned to a certified driver trainer, and that would be for a minimum of 4 weeks. Now, the water haul business, the loading and unloading skills and knowledge and training for that is something that within a couple of days or so, the loading and unloading task will be something that anyone that graduates from a school such as this would be able to learn very easily. There's not a lot of moving pieces to it. It's not like a fuel haul where you have that tanker that's got 5 separate tanks in that trailer and you're loading multiple different products, different gallon capacities. There's a lot of moving pieces to that. not so much on the water business. So the focus really for that 4-week period is to give you more time behind the wheel as you continue to build your driving skills and experience out on the highway. But during that training period, we pay you $200 per week, or excuse me, per day. So on a 5-day training week, that's $1,000 while you're in training. And once you come out of training, then your pay goes to $110 per load. And that per load is 2 to 3 loads per shift. So our water drivers are easily making $1,200 to $1,400 a week when they come out of training. So that's how that structure of that pay works. And this brochure, where you see the seniority pay, I need to add some correction. If you all want to make notes of this, it changed actually after I had these printed off the other day. We changed the time periods and the rates of percentages. So for the first 2 years, 0 to 24 months, the base pay is $110 per load. And then from 25 months to 60 months, it's the $110 times 3%. So it's a 3% raise when you begin your 3rd year. And then when you begin your and that goes up all the way up to when you're at that's at 25 to 60 months, so that's 5 years. And then at 61 months to 120 months, so that would be just over 5 years to 10 years, it goes up to times 7% over base. And then anything beyond 121 months, which is 10 years, anything beyond 10 years of service, it goes a multiplier of 12.5% over base. And that's solely based on tenure. There's no other requirements. And the other way that pay goes up is the company from time to time will issue fleet-wide to all drivers, if you want to call it a cost of living raise. We raised driver pay 2 times last year in the last 12 months. And depending upon market, it went anywhere from 25 to 30%. And so that's what got us to where we are now. And there will be more pay increases to drivers as the market conditions continue to evolve. Cost of living, everybody, there's not one of us in this room that's not feeling inflation. I mean, it's hitting everybody. And so I see, all employers having to adjust pay just based on inflation. The other way, if you look under shift differential pay, is what we call it, there's another ways that you can make additional money. If you're running on a, let's call it a slip-seated truck, that means there's 2 drivers assigned to that one unit, a day shift and a night shift. The day shift driver gets 5% more, and the night shift driver gets 15% more to that base pay. And depending upon when you change shifts, it says day night, but let's say that we didn't really have a night driver or a day driver, maybe it was a midnight to noon and noon to midnight type split, then we would change that to 10%, 10%, because that's just being fair to both drivers. We also have an extra 10% for weekend loads. So if you pull loads on Saturday or Sunday, you're gonna get that base pay plus that 10% for weekend. And if you're slip seating, you get that pay too, that extra pay. So there's some real kickers there that can build up on that base pay depending upon the structure, if you're a shift driver and if you're working weekends. Anyone have any questions on that? Okay.
I have a question about
Yes.
that. Oh, go ahead, you ask. Are those highly sought after hours? Like to stack everything to get the maximum amount? Are people clamoring for those positions, or are they pretty much open?
Well, right now today we have 3 positions open for this water hall. And we're looking at maybe putting a 4th one in there. We gotta do some some study on the equipment, capacity that we have right now. But I know as I stand here right now, we have 3 positions open for this water piece of business. You have a question too?
Yes, sir. So I just wanna make sure I have an understanding. So you said, so training day, you're
Yes.
doing, you can only do 3 loads, you said?
The training, when you're working with this trainer,
Mhm.
it's gonna be 2 to 3 loads per shift. But
Okay.
as a trainee, you're not paid by the load. You're paid a set $200 per day,
Oh, okay.
okay?
And then when you start working, it'll be $110 per load.
Right, once you get out on your own,
Mhm.
you graduate from training, then you will go into the base pay, load pay, with the $110 per load, and then, the other things that we just talked about.
What's required for graduation?
The graduation,
After you graduate, what
yeah.
all is,
that is really dependent upon the trainer, who we put through their training to be certified trainers for a reason. And their job is to help us, as a company, help us assess your skills as a professional driver. And so if you're operating the truck safely, driving defensively, you can show that you can execute, backing maneuvers, you can be a truck driver. That's what the trainer's there to assess. It's not a test, it's not it's an overall assessment of your skills, your ability to do the job. And what we will do, and I said minimum of 4 weeks, and that's for a reason, because if we have someone who needs a little bit more time to work on something, we will grant that, okay? Another way that you can increase pay is being safe. We will spend this year, close to $1 million in safety bonuses paid back to our drivers for being safe. And that's 3% of your pay every quarter, every 3 months that you're eligible for, just by doing your job safely. Not having a preventable accident, not having a preventable injury, not tearing up anyone's equipment, like backing into a gate or, tearing up something. Being safe pays. That's the easiest money a driver will ever make, because that's just doing the job that you should be doing. And so that over a year's time, your first year, 3% of your annual earnings, so going back to that $1,200 to $1,400, multiply that out times 52, and then take that number times 3%. So on 50,000, that'd be $1,500. 75,000 would be $1,750. No, that would be $2,250, right, Dr. Ford? You're probably better on math than I am.
Percentage 10?
Yeah, so, but yeah, that, and then when you complete your first year, you've had those 4 quarterly bonus opportunities. Now, not only are you eligible for those as you continue on, but you are also eligible for an annual bonus, and that's an additional 3%. So at the end of your second year, you would have the opportunity to have those 4 quarterlies and the 1 annual. So now you're at 6% of your annual pay and bonus opportunity on safety. All right. Retention in your first year, retention bonus. Once you hit your 6 months, you're gonna receive a $1,000 retention bonus. When you hit your 12 months, 1 year of service, you're gonna be eligible for another $1,000. So those are incentives, because we want, we're investing in you. You're investing in us. And we want to, show our recognition for your commitment to be here and offer you those retention bonuses. So there's multiple pieces of compensation. That's one thing I would tell you, no matter where you choose to go to work, in the trucking industry, that you can't get focused just on what a load pays. It's about your total compensation. And you have to take all these pieces. Some companies may have more than we do. I can tell you there's a lot of companies that have a lot less than we do. But you gotta take all that, understand the value of that, before you make a decision on what's the best fit for me and my family. what's the best job opportunity for me and my family. All right, I'm gonna walk you all through the, some of the benefit highlights. We have, paid time off and holiday pay, and you can see based on your, length of service, how many days of PTO that you qualify for. And one thing that's I think is unique for us about paid time off, the rate that you get paid per day is based on you. It's based on your average weekly earnings. So if you've been making $300 a day, that's what your PTO is on average. Because they look back at your prior 13 weeks and they run what your average pay is. So you may have $300 a day, another driver may be $250 a day. It's all based on that driver's pay. So we do that to keep you whole. Many years ago, we had a flat rate per day, and we had drivers making a lot more than that on average per day. So to take time off, they take a week off of vacation, you know, it hit them. And we saw that as a problem, so we changed it to where we credit you for what you're making. We also have a buyback plan. So if you don't have, you got PTO, and we have a lot of drivers that have been here 10 or more years. And those drivers may not have the need to take that much time off. So we have a buyback program that they can get that money back instead of taking those days. Holiday pay, you see the holidays listed here. We have one coming up here around the corner, Memorial Day, and that's $125 per day. So if you work on a holiday, one of these holidays, you get your regular pay plus an extra $125 if you work for, let's say, like a Memorial Day coming up. Then the health insurance, Blue Cross Blue Shield administers our health plan. We have the prescription coverage, dental coverage, vision coverage, and you can see all the things that are available under that. We have company paid for insurance for life insurance, accidental death and dismemberment insurance, and then we have what's called a travel policy. So if something happens, that's in addition to life insurance. But all those amounts that you see there are paid for by the company. There's no deduction out of your pay for those things. There are opportunities for you to get supplemental coverage where you can buy up. So if you want more life insurance, you can do that for a modest premium. And you can choose what that is. If you want $25,000 more, $50,000, that's up to you. But the company, every employee in our company has this coverage that's listed here at no charge to them. Any questions on pay and benefits? Yes.
Yes, one last question. So how many loads, like back and forth, on average are they doing? Like, how many loads, like from back from the, I guess, water or whatever that is?
You know, I would tell you that in a week, you're probably looking at an average, probably around 12 to 14 loads, and that's on a 5-day week. And then you can work 6 days if you have the hours, and we have the loads. You have that opportunity. Because the water does move 7 days a week, and so you would have that. And if you're working on the weekend, that's where you get that extra 10% too. So that's an incentive to run those loads on those days. But we do look at your hours, and your people in that e-log system is tracking your hours, so you can see how many hours that you're gonna have available coming up. But if you're working 5 days and you're working total 12 hours, total on duty time, that's 60. So you would only have 10 hours, no more than 10 hours on Saturday, your 6th day to work. So you couldn't get 3 loads in that scenario. You could only pull 2 and stay within your hours of service. Because we are, a short haul carrier, you qualify for that exemption. So, you know, that means that in your logs, a lot of the information, basically all you have to do is log on and log off at the end of the day. You don't have to take a 30-minute rest period because we're a short haul carrier. That's another thing that makes us different from, say, working over the road or regional where you wouldn't have that opportunity. You have to take that 30-minute break. Let me tell you, that was, when that change came in, that was very helpful to us. It's not often that there's a change in regulations that actually helps. Usually it's more burden on the drivers, more burden on the companies. But that was one thing that really helped. You know, the 34-hour reset, that's something that you would have that window of time in your off days to have 34 more hours off duty where you get your reset. You start the week back with full 70. But in today's world with e-logs, it's made it a lot easier for drivers to manage their hours. And you know, if we have a problem with the e-log system, you know, it's technology, it happens sometimes, then you revert to a paper log book. But under the regulations, you can't work more than 8 days on a paper log in a 30-day period. And that's true wherever you go, you know, so always keep that in mind. If you're working somewhere and your e-log system's down and you report it, put it on your pre-trip and noted it, and the company's not doing anything about it, once you hit that 8 day in a 30-day period, you would be in violation if you stayed on paper logs. You don't want to be in that situation.
Question, do you know how long you all will be out here? Is there a certain time frame on this project that you all have out here? Is it so long?
That's a great question. I believe it's a 5-year contract. So we're just over a year into it, so, you know, call it 3.5 to 4 years remaining in the contract. And we actually are picked up another piece of the business. They're building a new plant up in Northeast Florida. So because of the job we've done down here for them, they gave us an opportunity for that piece of business up there as well. So we built in a relatively short period of time, we've really built a great partnership with Niagara. You know, there are some periods when, due to either seasonal volumes or maybe they're doing some work in their bottling plant and they can't take as much water in. And if we have a situation where that happens, we guarantee you $1,000 per week. Even if you're not able to get, let's say your load's canceled, you know, and if it affects your pay to where you would be under $1,000 per week because of those canceled loads, we would make you whole at $1,000. That's just a safety net. We want you to make more than that, and you should be able to make more than that without any problem. That's really what I've got to share with you all. One thing I would tell you too is, as you think about your opportunities, even if this job that we talked about here this afternoon isn't the right fit for you today, and you go out there and go a different direction, we're not going anywhere. We'll be here. And so I would appreciate you always keeping full rock and tank lines in mind for your career, even if it's not now, somewhere down the road. Because if you go and you get experience out there driving for someone else, and you want to get back to where you're local, and now you can say, well, gosh, I got my experience now, I can qualify for hazmat, and we'll help you with your hazmat endorsement. We have a very, very robust training program for fuel haulers or chemical drivers to make sure that you're safe and you're competent and knowing how to handle those products. And that opportunity is there. Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
So you guys help with the hazmat, so I know we're doing water in West Palm. And if we wanna get the hazmat endorsement, you guys will help with the hazmat.
Okay.
What-
I think that's a good question. One thing that you made me think, I didn't mention was, to haul water, you still have to get your tank endorsement.
Okay.
Okay, that's the N. I don't know why N equals tank, but it does. But you would go down to the DMV, it's a written test, it's not a big deal. You just study for it, you can walk in there and take the test, boom, done. And they upgrade your CDL with the N endorsement. But to the hazmat side, as of February 7th this year, there is a new regulation called Entry Level Driver Training, ELDT, HME, theory-based training. So if you're a driver that's seeking your hazmat endorsement for the first time, doesn't matter how long you've been driving, but if you're seeking your endorsement for the first time on hazmat, you have to take this online, we do ours online. You have to take a theory-based curriculum training. And you get a certification for that, and then that training provider sends your completion, so you're registered within the training provider registry within the FMCSA. So when you go to the DMV office, you say, hey, I'm here to take my hazmat test. First thing they do is they go in there and they look, and they see if you are in that system as completed. If you're not, you don't get to take the test. So you have to do that before you go to the DMV to take your written HM test. That's the new requirement. I don't like it, as you can probably tell, because it puts a burden on you all, professional drivers. I don't know why, this came to be. It was actually through a congressional act back in 2015 when all that started. And we pushed back on it as an industry, but FMCSA they were going that direction no matter what. And I'm concerned that over time that it's going to create a situation where fewer drivers will want to become hazmat drivers, because it's one more hurdle, one more thing you got to go do. And even though we pay for you to go through that, so you don't, that's us, I can't speak for other companies, to take that additional training, some people would say, I don't want to deal with all that. And I get it. And in a time when we need, not just in hazmat, there's 80,000 drivers needed today, out there today. Why are we doing anything is making it more difficult for somebody to become a professional driver. Doesn't make any sense, but that's the government for you. But we would love to have you join our team. I'm going to go through the last part of what I'm here to talk to you about. How do you put an application in with us? If you look on your brochure, down here on the bottom of the front page, you're going to see two websites. And the top one is where you would go to actually submit your application, driverockandtanklines.com. And then the one below that is our overall company website. So you can see more information about us as a company. What I would ask that you do when you submit your application is call Miss Michelle Homan, who is our manager of safety administration and driver recruiting, and let her know that you're a student coming out of this program and that you have submitted your application. Yeah, let me give you these. And Michelle can help you through that process, because our system and our recruiters need to know that's who you are. And the reason is because you're not going to have any experience for driving experience on your application. That's not a problem, but the system doesn't like that, because it's going to want to kick it out as not qualified. So if we know that you put it in there, we can go find it. And so you would go through the application process, get that done, and then we would set you up with an orientation date. with our manager in Fort Lauderdale, to go down and go through, everything that's needed to get you set up as a new employee, a new driver with the company. And you would be assigned to the driver trainer, and all the details of when to start, where to meet the trainer, all that kind of details, we would coordinate all that. And then you go to work, you start your training process. There's really not a whole lot more to it than that. And you know, we're anxious to get these positions filled. We're not able to cover all the loads that we have an opportunity to cover right now, and we want to haul more. So I think it's a great opportunity, and I'm thankful that this school has restarted down here, because you know, where you all are, depending upon where you live, I don't know how that relates to up there in Palm Beach County Commerce Center, but you know, that's the first opportunity we've had in this area other than a hazmat job. So, but if it wasn't for this school being here, we wouldn't be able to make that work. And thank you again for choosing to be professional drivers. You've got a bright future ahead of you in a great industry. And as long as you're doing the right thing, come to work on time, do your job, be safe about it, you can have a very secure future. That's what I would tell you. Okay, anything else? Any other questions? Yes.
Yes. So I'm going back to pay one more time.
It's important. It's important, yeah.
Hazmat has the same base pay as?
No, it's
Okay.
more.
All right.
Okay, here, a first-year driver with us, in water or dry bulk is gonna average somewhere in the upper $60,000 range. That same driver in hazmat would be in the low $70,000, like 72 to 74,000. Give or take, I'd tell you it's about a $4,000 to $5,000 variance, between the two. So let's say that you were here a year and you wanted to go and get cross-trained on hazmat, and you went into that. So now you're going into a different pay scale bracket, but you carry your tenure. So that's gonna help you, get to higher rates of pay quicker. You don't have to start at zero, because your tenure is gonna carry over. All right.
I wasn't here, where are you located at in Palm Beach? Where's the job site?
Oh, I'm sorry. So, our actual brick and mortar terminal is actually in Fort Lauderdale, but we have a group of trucks that we domicile up at the Niagara Bottling plant in Palm Beach County up here off of 710, you know where Pratt Whitney is, right across the highway from Pratt Whitney. And so that's where the actual job is. That's where you would come to every day to start your work. That's where the trucks are. So they go out, they pull those 2-3 loads a shift, and then you come back there at the end of your shift and leave the truck there. You don't have to go down to Fort Lauderdale or anywhere else for that matter. On a regular, the only time you go to Fort Lauderdale is if the truck needs maintenance or something that we pay separately for that. The one thing I didn't touch on when I was thinking about maintenance on trucks, if you have a situation where the truck does break down, we pay you an hourly rate while you're waiting. I think it's $22.50 or somewhere around that range per hour. Or if you get in a situation where loading or unloading, any type of delay like that, after 45 minutes, then you go on hourly rate. So it's 45 minutes, what's called demurrage, free time, and then after that, you go to hourly rate. So there are some things, because time is money. If you're not moving, those wheels aren't rolling, you're not making money pulling the load. But if it's something that's out of your control, we don't want to see you penalized, you consequence for that. It's not your fault, and you need to have that pay for the time. And so that's how we do that for you. All right. Yes,
Are most of your vehicles manual or automatic?
automatics.
Oh,
And the trailers, are fully loaded, so, and they're a food grade trailer. One thing, if you start learning about tank trucks, food grades are, if you were to look in, like X-ray vision, look in that trailer, it's like a shotgun barrel. It's smooth all inside, there's no baffles, it's just an open,
No baffles?
no baffles,
It gotta be full
no, no. There's no baffles in a food grade. And the reason that is because food grade, for them to properly clean the trailer, to meet the FDA specs, it can't have any of that in
Can't
there.
get over the baffles.
Yeah, and so, but with the trailer fully loaded, and I know you're probably thinking about this,
Surge.
you don't, the surge, that's right. You don't have the surge because there's no place for it to surge to. But if you have a trailer that, that is an open trailer like that and it's partially loaded, when you go to put the brakes on, here it comes. And so the drivers who pull our chemical trailers, you know, they do experience more surge. But they're skilled at, they're trained at, they know how to brake to where that's minimized and how to handle that. But on the water, if you think about the whole trailer, it's fully loaded, so there's no open voids in there. So the water can't move around. A fuel tanker with those 5 separate compartments, not only are there bulkheads that physically separate one compartment from the next, there's also baffles in a petroleum trailer too. So even though they can be partially loaded, that surge effect is minimized in the way the truck handles. All of our trucks are equipped with the roll stability control systems. They have the blind spotter technology, which is the sensor that's on the right side of the truck. When you turn your turn signal on, if there's a vehicle or an object in that blind spot, it's gonna alert you that it's there. But it only works if you turn the turn signal on.
Drop cam?
We have smart drive, outward only, okay? And we put that in about 2 years ago, and I wish I would've done it before. We have been able to exonerate our drivers from accidents that they would have been charged with. We actually have had police officers where we got the video to them that we're gonna write our driver as being at fault. They had to go back and change their report once they saw the video. And we've been able to stop these plaintiff's attorneys dead in their tracks. When we get a letter of rep and somebody's told an attorney that our driver was at fault, and the video shows to the contrary, shows that their client was the one that caused the accident. And we've been able to stop these attorneys in their tracks with those videos. And so it's been a great tool in those respects, but here's the other thing. We've been able to work with our drivers, and even somebody as good as Robert Anderson, that may have had a falling too close event, or an improper lane change event. And we've been able to work with them and help make them aware of what they could have done differently to prevent that. And here's a good example. Driving down the interstate, and you're in the center lane, and you got plenty of falling distance on the vehicles ahead of you in your lane. You're cruising along 65 miles an hour, all's good. Car comes by you, left lane or the right lane, and as soon as it passes you, it moves right in. So now, where you had a very safe falling distance, that just changed on you. Nothing you did, totally other driver. So how does a professional driver handle that situation? Okay, you fall back, you can do that. First thing you gotta do is watch that vehicle and see what it's doing. Is it going faster than you and it's going away? Or is it right there and staying right there? Because if it's not going away from you and that distance is steadily increasing, you gotta react to that. You gotta adjust. That's what you do, just adjust. And that's come off the throttle, maybe tap your brake a little bit, increase that cushion of safety. And that's the training that we've been able to give our drivers and say, look, you didn't cause that situation, but because you didn't back out of it, you maintain an unsafe following distance, less than 1 second for over 3 seconds. So it's really helped our drivers get better at being better at their job. And we've seen the driver safety scores drop, the fleet safety scores drop, and right now this year, we're having the best year, and I hope this is real wood somewhere in there. We're having the best year we've had on our accident frequency ratios that we've had, and I couldn't tell you how long. Because our drivers are more aware, and by giving themselves that extra cushion of safety, they're able to avoid a crash when, if they hadn't been doing that, they would have been in that crash. Because things happen out there, and drivers see it even more than the regular motors, because you know what's causing it. It's these things right here. And back in the day when cell phones first came out and people were doing this going down the road, that was bad enough. But then when smartphones came out and people started texting while driving, I don't know anybody that texts that can just do it without looking at the phone.
Oh, I do.
You do?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, they're gifted.
My experience, I've watched women put makeup on, eat cereal, play
Yeah.
with their dog.
Yeah. But when they're, you
Get
know,
dressed.
you see it, don't you? You see it all? You probably see some other things we won't talk about. But these things really have caused havoc out there on the highway.
Yeah.
And distracted driving, and how that has affected the trucking industry. Because here in Florida, if you get in a crash, and you're the commercial motor vehicle, what's the chance of you getting sued?
100%.
And so it doesn't matter why, because in Florida, in today's law, a jury can award from 0% to 100%. And so these attorneys come after trucking companies every time there's a crash.
And they can come after you personally now.
They can. And in fact, the lawsuits that come across my desk, they will have not only our name, the company name on there, they'll have our driver's name on their list as a defendant. Now, the company, we provide counsel for our drivers. You know, we take care of our driver. We get, their attorney is our attorney. The same attorney represents both us and the driver. But because of distracted driving, we're having more litigated claims and more claims as a whole. And it's a battle, let me tell you, every day it is a battle trying to beat them back. And until we get some changes in this state on the law, like in Georgia, you take the same facts of loss and you have two totally different outcomes. Because in Georgia, for you to get money as a plaintiff, you have to show that the defendant was greater than 49% at fault for that. So there's a threshold. In Florida, there is no threshold. And you get in, we had an accident down on State Road 60, probably now about 4 or 5 years ago, about this time of the day. It's clear day like this. And if you know State Road 60, it's a 4-lane divided highway, kind of a little bit like 27. Railroad track, we're hauling fuel. What's our driver have to do? Stop. So he's doing what he's required to do by law. He's sitting there with his 4-ways on, checking the track. He happened to glance in his mirror. He sees this car coming up behind him at a high rate of speed. And he started to try to accelerate because he knew the car was going to crash into him. And he started to try to move forward to lessen that force of impact. The car was driven by a young woman, 21 years old. She hit the back of it so hard, she had to be going 60 plus and never hit her brakes. And you think, how could this happen? I think that's what she was doing. I don't think she was looking where she was going. She didn't anticipate a truck stopping out there on the highway. And so she was actually reported as fatal. Her parents were notified that she was fatal, but she wasn't. She survived, but she had almost an amputation of her hand. They reattached it. She was hurt bad, no question about it. Family got an attorney, and they started contacting us. Long story short, that claim settled pre-suit. Didn't go into a lawsuit, but it was settled based on factors in Florida that if you have a jury with that type of serious injury, there's gonna be people in that jury gonna be sympathetic. So let's say it's 20%. The jury comes back with 20% against us. Well, past medicals, future medicals, scarring, you know, they come up with these life care plans. And they say, I'm not picking a number. I'm not saying this was the right number. Say that the plaintiff's attorneys claim a $10 million in damage, and the jury gives them 20%. There's $2 million for that. So when you're looking at, and I have a hard time with this, when you're looking at making a decision what to do, you gotta put your business hat on, because if you're going on right and wrong, that doesn't work. You gotta make a business decision. And so between our insurance company, we wanted to fight it. We wanted to fight it, take it to court, take it to trial. But our insurance company didn't want to take that chance.
So, you have to stop with a hazardous load at the
Yes.
railroad tracks.
Yes.
All of them, and there's quite a few on 60. You go to one town, you might be stopping every so many miles.
Yeah.
If you hold up, now, did they catch him from trying to move away from the accident? Or was he still stationary when that car hit him?
No, he had just started moving forward, but that wasn't a factor in the crash.
Well, because by law.
Oh, he'd already
you gotta
stopped.
stop.
Oh, he did. He had stopped.
Because I've held a stop when I see them coming. I'll take the.
Well, our drivers know those tires have to be stopped. They can't be
have to be
rotated.
stationary.
Because the troopers will set up on these tracks, the commercial motor vehicle troopers, and they'll watch with binoculars, and they watch.
Oh, man.
They watch the front tire, and if that tire doesn't come to a complete stop in motion, and that driver just rolls through the tracks, then they're issuing a citation, and it's a serious situation. In fact, in our company, you fail to stop at a railroad crossing with a hazmat load is automatic termination. Yeah. So, you know, but yeah, he had come to a complete stop and and he was just getting ready to start pulling forward anyway when he looked and saw the car coming, so he just got on it trying to, and had he not done that, she would have been killed. No doubt in my mind. Because of course the impact would have been harder. So that's where, you know, that's why it's so important, you know, to do all the right things all the time, because you never know. And if we would have had our camera back then, you know, we would have showed truck coming to a complete stop, and then just start to pull away, and you would have seen that truck jolt. And in Florida, there's presumptive negligence for rearing collisions. So if you're the driver that rear-ended somebody, the law is against you. You're negligent. But even with that, a jury can still be sympathetic. And you never know. You never know what a jury's gonna do. So I got off on a tangent, sorry about that. But I appreciate your time this afternoon, and if there's something that you think about after you leave here today, dang, I should ask that question. Call Michelle or I. I'll give you my card as well, and we'll be more than happy to answer any questions. And even if it's not now, and you go somewhere else, like I was at a class at Pinellas Technical a couple months ago, and you know, one of the drivers said, well, you know, I'm not interested in local, I want to go over the road. And I said, hey, that's great. I hope it all works out for you. But if they don't, then please keep our information and stay, get in touch with us, because we love to talk to you. But thank you for your attention. You guys have really listened well. A lot of great questions, and hopefully you'll give us a some consideration for these opportunities. All right, that's all I got. You're welcome.
I have no question.